Hey and welcome to another Wednesday. Today I'm going to revisit another topic that I've spoken about before, and that is the topic of boundaries. And there seems to be a lot of confusion around this topic, and I even had a little look around internet before turning on the camera. So what I want to say is I'm going to do a sort of mini series, I think, a few different parts, because it's going to take more than 5-10 minutes for me to go through everything that I want to say. So today I'm just going to speak about what boundaries are, what they are not, and give you some examples of boundaries. So many people think that boundaries are things that we do to control other people, and it is not. Okay, this is really important. Whenever you are in doubt, just remember that a boundary is something that you do to take care of and protect yourself. So it's about your well-being, if you like. It does not have anything to do with the other person or what they are doing. Obviously, they are going to violate a boundary for you to take a certain action. So the way I like to think about it, because now we're often talking about emotional boundaries, things that we don't like, etc., and that can be quite hard to grasp. So let's take a physical example. It's very easy. So you have a piece of land, let's say that it's your house, you have a garden, and often we have a fence around the garden to show where our boundaries are. If you're not invited into my garden or my home, you are not allowed to go inside of that boundary, and then you have been trespassing. Now, if someone comes into your house uninvited, just stomping straight in, you might just question what they're doing there. They have crossed your boundary or violated your boundary, if you like. Now, many of us might think it's totally okay for strangers to come into our houses. I personally would be a little bit perplexed and wonder what that person is doing there, and I would ask them what I could do for them. Or have they gone to the wrong house? Or if they're there to rob me, I'm going to tell them I'm going to ring the police. So this is quite easy to understand. But when it comes to an emotional boundary, many of us are struggling to understand what a boundary is. And I'm going to read this off a webpage that I found today, which I'm not going to tell you which one it is, but it's... So this is what it says anyway. Examples of emotional boundaries are: 1. Not knowing how to separate your feelings from your partner's and allowing his/her mood to dictate your level of happiness or sadness, also known as codependency. First of all, it's not codependency. Second, it is not a boundary. It has absolutely nothing to do with a boundary. A boundary is when someone is coming into your personal space, whether that is being a physical boundary, as in your house, or up in your face. It might be someone that you live with. If you're watching this channel, that's entirely possible. And they are doing something that you don't like. Maybe it could be that you don't like being yelled at. So you tell your partner or whoever it is, it could be a co-worker for all I know, if you yell at me, I am going to leave the room. That is a boundary, and you have told them the consequence. Okay? So not knowing how to separate your feelings from your partner's feelings, and when they're in a bad mood, you're in a bad mood, that is just a matter of not taking responsibility for your own feelings. It has absolutely nothing to do with boundaries. You can't ever force someone to be happy so that you can be happy. It does not work that way. Let's just make that very clear. They also wrote, sacrificing your plans, dreams and goals in order to please others. Now, I think you figured this one out already. That is not a boundary violation or a boundary at all. And that is people pleasing. And again, if you do this, you are not taking responsibility for your own feelings. You are more concerned with what people are thinking about you than how you are feeling trying to please them. Like you're not honoring your inner truth, if you like. One more example. I also wrote not taking responsibility for yourself and blaming others for your problems. And that is exactly what the first example was. It wasn't blaming there because we hadn't gone that far, but not taking responsibility for yourself. So in truth, this could be part of what happens after a boundary has been violated, I guess. So if your partner yells at you, you might think that you are being upset because he or she is yelling at you. And that is blaming and not taking responsibility for your feelings. But it is not because of the boundary violation. So a boundary violation, as I said, I don't want to be yelled at. This is my boundary. If you yell at me, you have violated my boundary. The consequence of violating my boundary is that I will leave the room, as in I'm taking care of myself and I'm doing what's supposed to be self-care. I'm not saying if you yell at me, I'm going to yell back at you. That is not self-care, okay? That's not you could, in effect, have that as a consequence, but you want the consequence to be out of love for yourself, okay? So, let's say, take another example. Let's say that, again, with a house. You're not living with your partner, but you're dating. Your partner likes coming around your house unannounced, just knocking on the door, and you always let them in, you're dropping everything, and you're just spending time with them. In the beginning, this might feel okay because you want to see them, but after a while it starts to feel a bit frustrating because what you actually want to do is that you want to finish working on something, you might want to read your book, you might want to do something else that you enjoy. You feel like you're dropping everything for this person. And I have been there. I tell you, it is not a good place. You love this person, you really want to be with them, and therefore you're dropping everything else. But I'm telling you, you need a boundary around this if this is you. So the boundary could be that you say, hey, I love you, I really want to spend time with you, but if I would really appreciate if you could just give me a call before and check that I'm available, because I need to take care of myself and I need to plan my day a little bit better. I have a certain amount of things that I want to be able to finish in one day, and if you're just dropping in, that might be impossible and then I get behind. So I just want to be able to plan better. So it has absolutely nothing to do with you. It's all about me and my inability to plan and getting things done at the rate that I want to if you're just coming unannounced. Your partner might be very understanding about this, or they might be upset. There are other ways that you can say this. You can just say, hey, I'm really busy now. Can we just decide beforehand when we see each other? And hopefully they don't turn up, but if this is a habit, they might still turn up. So it's always better to be very straightforward and honest with that boundary. Now, if they come around anyway, because in the past you always opened the door and they always got what they wanted. So they come around again, you already told them all of this, you just ignore that they're there. You do not answer the door. They might go home, they give you a ring, they're not happy, and you could choose to get really upset at them because you feel guilty and you want to blame them for feeling guilty, but that's again not taking responsibility for your feelings. So I want to say that the best thing to do here is just say, hey, I understand, but I think we were discussing this, so I think I made it pretty clear that I need to have this time for myself to finish the things that I'm doing. And it would be great if you could come by tomorrow maybe at this time or whatever. So these are all, this is a perfect example of a boundary violation. The same thing is most people have a boundary around being physically abused. If someone is hitting you, there will be a consequence. Now, the consequence, I say it again, should always be about what you are doing, your reaction to the boundary violation. It should never be in a way to try to manipulate the other person to do what you want them to do. So saying something like, well, if you come round unannounced, I'm not going to open the door, and then I'm not going to spend any time with you until next weekend. That's almost, it is, you could use that, but it's more of a threat. You're taking yourself away from this person for a long period of time. And in that case, you might want to rethink that a little bit. So you really want to find something that removes you from the situation, or taking care of you immediately, not something that would punish someone, maybe including yourself, because maybe you want to see this person in the future. So yeah, I'm hoping that this all makes sense. And as I said, I've been checking internet out a little bit, and it's really, really hard to find anyone who seems to be able to define what boundaries are. We think that I'm having a boundary about my husband never takes out the trash, and if he doesn't do that, then I will not cook dinner. That is not a boundary. That is about you trying to control your husband to do something that you want him to do. That's a totally different issue, and is not a boundary violation. A boundary violation is always when someone comes into your space and you want to protect yourself. So if you have any questions, please post them underneath. I haven't done the other videos yet. I will do them later this week or next week, so that I can add whatever questions you want to have answered, or if it's unclear in any way, I am happy to try explain it better with more examples, but I'm wary of time as well. So I hope that helped anyway, and I will see you again next Wednesday. Take care.